Presentation.
A couple of comments real quick. So first, thanks everyone for being here today. Because we don't currently have a physical forum of the court, this is technically an informal meeting at this point. Once we have a third court member show up, we'll call the meeting to order with the clerks, we'll do roll and do everything at that point that will become an official meeting. However, for this first presentation, it will just be an informal briefing to two fiscal court members. That being said, we do have Commissioner Brooks and Commissioner Simmons joining us virtually, so they will be listening in, participating, but again, this is not an official meeting because we do not have a physical forum present as of yet. Do you have something, Mark?
The court's not agendized to take any action because we lack a physical quorum right now. The court could not take any action, but any action on these contracts will be at a later commissioner's court meeting.
Okay, so for those of you in the audience, I need to ask if there's anyone else that is with one of the organizations that are not currently presenting. We're recording this meeting. The video will be available up on our website after the presentation is complete. And then make sure that if you should have your ranking sheets for me. If you're done with those at the end of this meeting, just turn those into me so we can get those tallied. I'd like to go ahead and introduce Derek here with Broadus and Associates to introduce the first presentation and discuss why there's only one of us.
Sure. Okay, give us 1 minute here, Marty. Yeah, so why, if we're voting on this on Tuesday, why would we then fill out a score sheet?
You don't have to fill out a score sheet today.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
So, just briefly, I'm Derek Walls with the Broad Stuff team. This is Roger Witt, and then Lou Mattingly is Director of Design and Construction at JPS. Just very, very briefly, we have one firm in this case that we're bringing forward. J. Dunn was clearly very qualified to do this work. We had two others that had submitted. Due to the complexity of the central energy plant, with the fact that it being a cogen plant creates a level of complexity. The other two firms that had submitted on it did not meet those technical qualifications of being able to do something of this magnitude. So therefore, we reviewed all three, but are making the recommendation for one, which is J. Dunn. And again, this is the central energy plant. This is the heart of the hospital with the energy that will be coming to all of the buildings at the JPS campus. So I'll turn it over.
Thank you, Derek. Good morning, Judge, Commissioners, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present the J.D. Dunn Source Building Group with an association with the Momentum Mechanical team. As Derek mentioned, we think we're bringing a great level of experience to this very complex and important project. We'll spend about 20 minutes briefly to go through this. Real quick, for those of you who don't know us, J.D. Dunn is one of the largest national contractors in the United States, and we are a major healthcare builder. We're the third largest healthcare builder in the country, so we do a lot of these kind of projects, and you'll see here in a minute that we have a lot of relevant experience that we can draw upon for this project. I'm super excited to have a joint venture partner in Source Building Group, as well as an association with Mark Rutledge and to meet Mark in a minute. This is something that we do quite a bit here in Tarrant County. We have multiple JVs with NWB firms because we know it's important to the county to try to build capacity and to leverage the strengths of our local partners. Keith, you want to come and talk a little bit about Source?
Yes. Good morning, everybody. My name is Keith Perwin. I'm the Vice President of Operations for Source Building Group. As Chris mentioned, we are a true JV on this project, and we're excited to team up with J.D. Dunn to learn and also continue building our capacity.
Thank you. Troy Knapp is the gentleman that's the president and CEO of Source. He's actually out of the country. We tried to get his video working and we couldn't get the sound, so I apologize for that. I'd also like to introduce a good friend of mine, Mark Rutledge with Momentum Mechanical.
Again, good morning. Momentum Mechanical is a mechanical contracting firm that we do HVAC, plumbing and piping. And we've been doing this for 17 years. I've been in the business for 30 plus years. The moniker we have, we're the largest African-American mechanical contractor in the state of Texas at this point. We've done many projects with Chris, but the most pronounced one is the Parkland Cup. So many projects we've done with J.E. Dunn, excellent partners. We had many years of growth and experiences, and we just want to continue to bring that level of excellence and expertise to the Stanton County project. Appreciate it.
So I think our structure of our team is well suited for delivering this project. I'm going to turn the rest of the presentation over to the people that you'll be dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
Good morning again, and thank you for having us here. My name is Mark McElroy. I'm the project executive for the joint venture. Going to meet members of the team today, but I want to highlight a couple of folks that are here this morning that are on our org chart. Again, we put a team together that is uniquely experienced, but also has a lot of recent relative experience working together. As you can see, we have a fully blended project team, and when we do a joint venture, that's how we look at specific joint ventures, particularly when the expertise aligns itself. One of the roles I want to really point out on is we bring mechanical support through this project because of its heavy mechanical business. So outside of Joe, we meet here in a minute, who's our general superintendent, to run the project, and Chuck, they are supported by Andrew Smith and Brad Wood. Andrew is, both these men came up through the field. Andrew's a certified balancer, understands all the operations within a building like this. He's done 4 or 5 cups in his career. Brad Wood's a licensed electrician. Both these guys come from the field, and they're going to bring that level of expertise throughout quality control, problem solving, and then identification of how to commission this building and get it up and running in a much more streamlined fashion. So that experience kind of blends into our next few slides we're going to go through. Is these are recent projects we've done. As you can tell, we've done in the last 10 years, 50 of these projects, and almost $2 billion worth of. They range from the Parkland Cup that was talked about, but also through Medical City Frisco, we recently completed, and many and all of these are generally done on active campuses, and many are either the initial enabling project, similar to what we're doing here to kind of get it kicked off, or sometimes adding on to it to take a new portion of the campus that is being built. So the coordination of those systems and understanding how to size them and how to bring them online is important. The cup for the Parkland Hospital here, again, huge facility. Joe and his team, Danny involved, as you see, was involved in this later on and worked on this project. Very similar in that it was the initial item project for a large campus. Oh, I'm sorry, can't hear me? All right. Can everybody hear me now? Or is this online for the folks that are online? Okay, obviously. So again, large project for everybody that was on that campus. It was the initial starting project that blended into bringing all the other buildings online, including the new hospital tower. So pretty similar to what we're doing here. Next slide. This is one we just finished up in Austin a few months ago, or about a year ago or so. It was designed by Jacob, so having that understanding and working with the designer that's on this job. Again, one of these modifications were involved a lot of tunnels and a lot of adding on to the facility to take care of the expansion at the campus that was being done there. And then this last one, which I think is very unique because it involves a couple of key components which we really that are unique to this project, but are unique in some problem solving. One of these is, again, another Jacob's job is the cogeneration aspect of this, which has been listed as a feature of this building. Very difficult to do in certain footprints, and certainly in what we're talking about in this one, this will take us some of our design expertise to work to make sure we can fit all this in there to have that achieved. The other part of this that's huge is the data center that's a portion of this. Again, a couple of CUPs we've done has done this. This one in Oklahoma is one of them. What's nice about the data center thing is not only do we bring that level of integration into a CUP, but it's also, we're one of the largest data center builders in the country, period. So right now we're doing billions of dollars worth of work in data centers. So we have incredible resources to tap into. Joe did a data center a few years ago over here in Garland. So
Just to highlight one of the projects that we have at Source Building Group, we are currently building an 1,100 megawatt data center for Google in the city of Midlothian. So we're bringing our data center experience to the team and allowing us to continue learning on a project of this size and a project that's a high performance project.
Hi, good morning. My name is Dan Adefo. I run the pre-construction group for J. Dunn out of the Dallas office. One of the things that we're going to talk about is a lot of the considerations, a lot of the trade partner capacity, and a lot of the long lead items. And so this isn't the only job going on in DFW. I mean, there's a lot of big jobs. Children's about to do a really big job. There's data centers going on all over. So really getting ahead of this with the trade partner market and getting the right guys involved super early is extremely important. One of the other things that J. Dunn will bring is a lot of the cost information that we've been collecting over the last several years. And so really on the left is just something to show you, we go out, we get commodity pricing, we get labor pricing on a monthly basis from our trade partners, as well as from active jobs that we've got going on. And we've been tracking it, and you can see actually, right there in the middle where it kind of spikes, and that was during COVID. I mean, the cost of materials was going up, labor cost was going up. Fortunately, for the last year, everything's kind of started leveling out, and we're seeing a lot less increase. Now, the really important thing about all of this cost information that we've been gathering is that we're able to go in and price things very quickly with a little bit of information. With all of the stuff that Mark was talking about, with all the jobs that we've done, along with all of the commodity and labor pricing, we're able to get a very detailed early estimate built to kind of show where everything's going to land. The other thing that's really important is that with that information, we're actually able to price things that aren't even shown. Our estimating software will allow us to fill in a lot of the gaps that we'll eventually fill in with actual information as we go throughout.
Chuck Saloma, Senior Project Manager. While I'll be working with Danny in the pre-con, I'm an operations guy, but I'm going to be helping him on the front end and the estimate. And early on, we'll be reaching out to the trade partners for the pricing. Andrea Hollingsworth, who is our diversity manager, I'll be working with her. We'll be reaching out to the MWBVEs and ensure that we're getting coverage on all the trade partners, as well as maximizing the competition and making sure we get at least 3 competitive bids on each. And then Mark is going to be working with us as well at the same time on all the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing trade partners. Here's a list of a multitude of projects that J. Dunn has done, and our result wherein we've exceeded the MWBE goals on each of the projects. Central Plant, the one that Mark just mentioned, we've exceeded the goal by 13%. And I can assure you that with Andrea's input, we'll be able to exceed the goal on your project. At this time, early on in the project, we're also going to be looking at all of the equipment that goes in the building. This project, as you said, will have, it's the heart and soul, and it's going to have some of the most sophisticated equipment that goes into your hospital, and they're long lead items. So we're going to be identifying those things early, working with Jacobs and understanding the performance criteria and getting pricing early. What you can't do nowadays is wait to price this stuff out, because what happens is the manufacturers who can meet the schedule start to dwindle down, and you start losing competition. So you got to identify them early and get the pricing early. The next item that we'll be working on is building information modeling. And J. Dunn has a robust modeling group, and we'll be working with Jacobs, taking their baseline, and then with Mark and the other mechanical partners, building the model to identify exactly where every piece is going to fit. And this is one from a previous job, and it's more than just, I like to refer to it, I'm an old guy, so it's cool, but it's much more than cool. What it does for us is it gives us the ability to identify any place that we might have conflicts between the structure and the piping. But the other thing that it does, we will be able to work with your facilities people, and they will be able to look at the building before it's built and be able to understand how they're going to maintain it and where the valves are, or is there clearances to replace equipment. They're going to be able to study all that stuff and understand it and buy in, and that's going to give you a project that's very easily to maintain and very, very efficient. The other thing it does, it gives us the ability to prefabricate off-site a lot of these products in racks or big piping spools. We can prefab it. That puts our labor off-site and controls the quality.
I'm going to stop you for 1 second. Since we now have a physical form of the court, we're going to need to call the court order really quick.
Okay.
Timon here, County Judge.
Present.
Road Charles Brooks, Commissioner, Precinct 1. Alisa Simmons, Commissioner, Precinct 2. Here. Gary Stickes, Commissioner, Precinct 2. Manny Ramirez, Commissioner, Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitution 4.
And I am here.
Let Roy know we can't hear him. He's just trying to communicate with us. He may have to call in if he wants to talk.
Will you say something to Mike? Say, hey.
Hello,
Commissioner Brooks, can you hear us?
can you hear us?
I can, yes.
Okay, there may
Okay.
be something on your computer that you have to press so we can hear you if you want to talk.
I am unmuted. I don't know why you can't hear me.
So for now, they can hear you in the back, so you can be heard, I think, on the actual audio. We just can't hear you in this room, so they're working on it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can proceed.
Ready? Okay. Okay, last point, with the building information modeling, what we'll be able to do at the end of the day is turn you over an as-built model wherein the people who operate and maintain the facility will be able to simply click on equipment and understand the maintenance, understand how the warranty, and get all the information right off the model, which means you'll be able to maintain the building very effectively and very efficiently. Joe?
Good morning. My name is Joe Hawley. I'm the acting general superintendent of the proposed new CUP. Why am I here? I built this project 10 or 11, 12 years ago, and just the wealth of experience and knowledge that came out of this one CUP, from the mechanical to the electrical to the plumbing to all of the other entities that touch your CUP. As Derek said, this is the heart of the campus. So the important piece of this is a number of lessons learned that we learned here is this one here. It's the big timing of how this CUP comes online and serves the other ancillary buildings is imperative for timing. We'll get into a little bit about why that's so imperative and what that means to you as the end user and the owner of it. But a couple of other things. There's so many similarities to this particular campus and what we have right down the street at JPS, from the railroad to the multiple contractors to the loads to the just multiple similarities that relate to this. And plus, Mark and I are kind of, he's wrapped up his piece, but we're finishing up very something in Norman, Derek, like we talked about before, that has a lot of similarities to not only this, but the campus. But going into the next one, some considerations here, same on any CUP, but we talk about what's coming out of the CUP to serve the other buildings. One of the biggest things that we miss is how we get those entities to the CUP to convert those metrics to then output to your new buildings, to the pavilion, to the MOB, whatever the end sources are. But the getting all them systems there to begin with, but startup, the loading, timing of the facilities online, what that really relates to is when is there a demand? And Mark can geek out about that all day long probably. But the point is there's certain timings of bringing another building on, the data center up top. When does that load really need to be up to hit the minimum loads? And we'll talk about that in a second. But that is simply imperative for the life of the heart of the campus. So these three here, the warranty component, the data center, a lot of things in the data center. You saw the resume, don't need to speak about the resume, but the data center being up on the top floor and all of the ancillary stuff that gets up there to support that. The data center itself don't know what the design is, but that may require the minimum load for just the electrical and some of the other pieces that go into this. But being up there, the vibrations, how the structure is composed, how we get all of the cabling, the miles and miles of cabling that go up to that data center. But most important, when does that data center come online with what the rest of the campus is requiring, the timing of that. Safety goes without saying. This is human, this is property, this is anything that goes around that. We got a rail yard right behind us, but the safety of that. And my job from day one is start thinking about the human piece of it, but really what's underground that's going to cause a major, major disaster if we hit a gas line, if we hit this, that causes some sort of impact to any adjacent building. So that's my job. That is my job. Here's just kind of a little chart. These are the minimum loads for each system, and each system can't necessarily work in independent mode. All of these roll together, so you can start seeing the minimums. And we're right now, because of the schedule of everything, we would be looking at the minimum loads to make sure that that new cup optimized, it runs where it's supposed to be and never dives down in any three of these main categories. When it dives down, that affects a lot of things, the warranty, the equipment, everything that touches that cup. So that's just kind of a geek out graph that's very important. But so talk a little bit about the schedule. We know we got the cup way up here. It ties to several buildings. We know we got 2 bridges, one to the pavilion, one to the future waste, the management building. And a lot of that stuff has to get there. But to get this going in April of 24 to here, a lot of these other buildings don't come online until well after this date. I know the materials management is 27, hospitals 28. This is December 31st. So really, how do we start functioning with that cup and really making the decisions early on what to bring up online? But again, back to this really starts today on our part, my part, Chuck's part. Our team is really starting to get involved with the overall campus development so we understand what's getting rerouted back to that cup, what's coming away from that cup. So when we mobilize on site, we have all the knowledge in hand to where we go out there and we safely dig. We safely start building, and we stay on schedule as well. So that schedule is very important. Here's kind of a glimpse at the overall. Again, the cup is way back in here in the corner. This is the heart of the campus. Some point in time, it ties to each one of these other ancillary buildings, but the one thing to point out here is the cup is online way before all of this. So again, the overwhelming story is how do we collectively build the cup and turn that over to you guys without having any interruptions and bringing it on to where once it comes online, it's live. It's the heart of your campus and it's there to stay. And anything else coming on, all of the design as we build into the cup, from the flanges to the systems that serve these, they're sitting there waiting for the new builder to come on, tie onto them, flush, get online, and then start their new building. So that's really what my job is. My job is starting from today all the way to at least December 31st, likely, of 2026, to make sure this campus comes online for you guys. Mark?
Thanks, Joe. And again, thank you for your time this morning, and we appreciate the opportunity to present this exciting project. A couple things I just want to recap for everybody. We've thrown probably a lot of technical stuff out here. But if you look at it, a project's broken down into 4 components: budget, safety, schedule, and quality, right? We always like to try to hope we address those with anybody. That's what we believe we're delivering to you and how we engage. Danny pointed out we can achieve cost certainty. Why? Because we've got the experience, we've got the buildings, we've got the recent buildings we've completed, and we've got a huge database that draws on not only local but national resources to allow us to do that. We can deliver on schedules. Joe pointed out we really start to think finish. That's the first thing these guys come in here and do, is they think finish. How is this building going to operate? How's it going to look? Where's it going to sit? Where's it going to connect to? That allows us to deliver on the schedule, because then they inform the rest of the design on how to put it there. Cannot stress this enough. This connection to the facilities and having this system up and running, because this is coming early, it's very important to this building operates in a manner that doesn't put any of the equipment that we're putting here in crisis, right? So there's a lot of conversations to have in the beginning of this, and then having a plan well thought out, how do we connect to each one of these buildings, is going to make subsequent projects in this bond work and come online a lot quicker. So this is very important to get this one right. We've done it. We know we can deliver it here. Proven track record of exceeding MWBE goals, even in projects like this that are highly technical. So you'll have some people try to cop out and say, oh, I can't find the contract. We've done it. 43% the last project. We can do this. Mark's group is one who's going to help us get along there, but it's just not him. There's other people we're dealing with. So we talked about Andrea Hollinsworth. Cool little story we didn't bring up is Andrea actually worked for Parkland, and she worked with us on these projects. She now works with us and for us, and she's part of our team because she was so impressed with the way that we went about our business. We'll exceed this. We'll make sure the community is well represented on this project. At the end of the day, we believe we're going to deliver the best value for this project. We believe that combining all of these things, integrating the project throughout the community, integrating budget, schedule, safety, and quality, having those top of mind for everybody, a think finish mentality when we start the project allows us to execute this at a high level. Open it up for questions. Thank you very much again. We appreciate it.
Any questions for this group? Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. I guess we'll see you in a couple hours.
So Chandler, tell us that this is the only group submitted to us for which component?
For the central utility.
Okay. Then the next two are for what?
The next two are for the architectural and engineering services for the medical office building.
Architecture and engineering, what are the last two?
The last are the construction manager risk for the medical and office building.
All right. Who's bringing the next one in?
I think they're going to get them right now, Judge.
Okay.
And then, Judge, whenever, if anyone has to leave and lose our physical form, we'll just need to recess the meeting.
Yep. So, while we're sitting here waiting, so the whole scoring thing, if we're voting on it and we're going to have a motion in a second, and there's going to be a vote, why would the commissioners score it?
It just depends on how we write the court communication.
Okay.
So we could just leave it open where a motion and a second could be made to actually vote on it, or if we have through the informal tally system that we're talking about here, we would put the winning firm in the court communication, and we would just asking for approval of that.
And so, how is it that we have to go take an open vote on the budget or the awarding of a contract or whatever, but this, we can do this little, everybody fill out your form, send it in, and now it's, how can we do that?
Well, similar to what purchasing does with their competitive bidding process. If you all choose to fill those out.
Mark, I just thought of something. We just lost our physical quorum. Do we need to recess the meeting? Oh, he's back now. Okay, never mind.
So if I'm hearing you right, everyone is submitting these documents to one place? Is that the case?
Correct.
Yeah. So it would be preferential to likely not do that here.
That's fine. We can certainly agendize it that a member of the court can make the motion, and we'll just have the more of an open item on the court communication.
Now, certainly, if you'd like to keep notes on those scoring sheets for your own reference, there is no issue with that.
So we did this before. It was for an architectural engineering. Yeah. On what component was that for?
That was on the
towers.
new tower.
Yeah. So what we did here was jotted our choices down on a sheet of paper and turned them in. And I guess the court communique reflected that.
That's correct.
Correct?
Yep. So we just
So
took
it's
the
not-
recommendation and put that in the court communication. But we could leave it more generic and just have the court make the motion in a second.
Okay. Either way is defensible, correct?
Yes, particularly if the scoring sheets are part of the court's record. which I would advise that they should be to the extent that they're being created.
So we hadn't been doing it wrong, right? It's just a different way.
So, when you do this little private tally, but we don't have to ask that in here with everybody
I know.
doing the presentation. I just want to keep us out of trouble, and I have concerns that that's an appropriate way to do it. All right, so this is, how do you pronounce it?
Hafer Welker. We can have Derek do a quick intro, Judge, for the group.
Okay, all right.
Go ahead, Derek.
So this is for the medical office building. This is a 245,000 square foot building that'll be on the campus. It's going to be at the corner of Magnolia and Main Street. So the clinic is where all of the specialty clinics will be coming together, as well as an ambulatory surgery center. So it is like all the projects, it's a critically important project, and we've got two firms. We went through the evaluation process with the JPS evaluation team. We interviewed and selected these two firms as the top two firms, and the first firm is Hoffer Welker. It's all yours, Jaron.
I appreciate it. We're waiting on a Zoom link for the commissioners that are online, that's what I'm told.
I mean, he's sitting there.
Yeah, he's on right now.
Okay.
Y'all don't have to wait on anything for me. I can hear you.
Switch over the screen that he sees.
You got the clicker. Well, thank you for this opportunity to present to you guys this morning. We have an array of people here. Some of us are going to speak, and some of us are going to be here to ask questions. My name is John Castorina. I'm the managing partner of Hafer Welker. Our speaking partners will be Steve Janeway, Cheryl McAfee Duncan, and Tiffany Fleur, who's part of our design team, and then Stacy Marshall, who's going to be our community strategist. So, a high reliability organization, that's something we're trying to form with the team. And so our team was selected by members who are experts at this building type. They also have a history with or are currently working with JPS on their campus. We also have experts in coalescing community input. And importantly, too, we have active participation in Fort Worth and Tarrant County. In fact, our design team, the architectural design team, will be a combination of Hafer Welker leading with KAI and McAfee Architects. Our engineers will be Martinez Moore, B&H, SSR, and Dunaway. And of course, our community strategist will be Marshall Multimedia. So here's a picture of our project going up for TCU Medical School right there off Rosedale. The important thing is that the majority of the participants on this team actually have offices here in Fort Worth and Tarrant County. And so we anticipate that 80% of this fee will stay here in Fort Worth and Tarrant County. And we currently have many great clients here in healthcare with JPS and children's, Cook Children's, as well as high education with Tarrant Community College and TCU, and of course with the city of Fort Worth. As it comes to our experience with this medical office building and building type, just over the past 5 years, we have designed 29 clinics that have been opened already and operating. And those 29 clinics total to almost 3 million square feet of clinical space, totaling almost $1 billion. And an example of some of these projects are extremely large projects, like the one up on top at almost 430,000 square feet for Lackland Air Force Base, as well as some in our community here in Euless and Grand Prairie as well. So we have a vast amount of experience with this building type. And so let's talk about the team itself. I mean, it's a complex building because it has some advanced diagnostics in it. So you need quite a large team that are dedicated to components on completing this project, whether it's planning and design, whether it's the construction documents or a QA/QC process. The important thing is Jaron Ricketts, if Jaron can stand up, Jaron is going to be the project manager. So everything flows through Jaron. Jaron is currently a trusted advisor to JPS as he is the main lead for the Pavilion Expansion Project and what's called the Sky Bridge. And we'll explain that later because that Sky Bridge is integral to the full campus master plan. We'd like to touch on our MWVBE project participants. One thing, we have 9 participants, but what we'd like to say with this is these are people we know and work with professionally, and we're associated with personally as well. We know that the JPS target of 25% is a good target, but as we stand right now, our team is about 42%. That's what we know today. We don't know the full scope of the project yet. So the ability of us to bring on more is very capable at this point once we learn more about that project. And our team, when it comes to community involvement, this really helped us understand and learn more about who of those people that we have to serve and the organizations we are eventually going to serve. And our team is participating in a numerous amount of organizations throughout Tarrant County and Fort Worth. But it's more than just teaming. Diversity happens internally too. And at Hafer Welker, we're very proud of the fact of our commitment to fairness and diversity. In fact, that almost 30% of our executive level are people of minority status. And really important to us, almost 45% are licensed professionals. So let's talk about how do we achieve success. In fact, this is a pretty advanced operating room with robotics that we did for UT Southwestern. So how do we achieve success? Well, there are 5 criteria that we have to answer. 2 of them on a micro level when it comes to JPS with their initiatives and their requirements. But on a larger macro level, we have to look at the community's perceptions, expectations, and needs. We have to be able to answer this to come up with a great design. So how do we do that? Well, we look at 2 things. We look at quantitative metrics, so we analyze systems and analyze them in their performance and efficiency based off of analytics. But we also look at qualitative metrics, how those systems actually affect how a person feels and perceives things while they're in the building. So looking at one of the quantitative metrics that we'll focus on is actually wait times. This is really interesting because if you look at national data, it says that we can lose 20 to 30% of our community participation in healthcare simply because it takes them longer to drive and to sit in a waiting room than time spent with a doctor. So this is a quantitative focus area that we can look at and use analytics to understand the protocols and adjust the processes so that we can reverse this. On the qualitative side, what you see, what you feel, what you use, how do we use physical space to get a better reaction on an emotional aspect from people? This is a big basis of evidence-based design. And some of the things that we've incorporated within previous projects that we want to incorporate here is one's called positive distraction. So in therapy spaces, instead of putting them in just solid rooms, you put them in rooms where they have views. When it comes to patient education, it gives people a sense of control, the obligation to help people understand and their families understand their disease management, not only using electronics, but also with assistance. Very important, social support for our staff, high stress organization, high stress situations. How do we give staff an area to decompress and better serve the community? And then, of course, a connection to nature. How do we capitalize on every aspect of either outdoor gardens or on-plane gardens as much as we can to create that connection? These are the qualitative aspects of it. So here's an idea. This is an idea we're going to propose. It's not a design, because we cannot achieve a design without the input of JPS. But it is an idea to say, hey, everything we talked about qualitatively, quantitatively, and the process of exploration can lead to this. So to reiterate what Derek said, what the project is, a little bit more, we believe it's going to be the gateway to the campus because it sits right there on Magnolia and Main. So it's very important. Being an outpatient building, it's going to be one of the most frequented buildings on campus. That's what we know. And the specific departments that are going into it, some are very complex departments, including imaging, radiology, and surgery. It's going to dictate a lot of the function of the building. So how does this building relate to the master plan as a whole? Well, this is the proposed MOB. That is the main hospital that we talked about before. This project right here is the one we're currently working on, which is the pavilion expansion, which handles trauma, surgery, interventional radiology, and central sterile processing. But I talked about the pedestrian skyway, the pedestrian walkway. That's this long blue line. It's 1,000 feet long. Now, this thing connects to every major building on campus according to the master plan. It's very important because this is how people are going to walk throughout, and it's also going to be...
Sir, I'm going to stop you for 1 second. Since we just lost our physical quorum, we just need to recess the meeting really quick.
Okay.
So, August?
So we are now into an informal meeting.
Yes, sir.
As opposed to the regularly going, I don't know what you say there.
Yeah, and I'd just like to reiterate for...
There's two of us here and one of us virtual, and that doesn't count as a quorum, so we're not in a quorum at the moment. So it's an informal meeting of Commissioners Court members.
And I'd just like to reiterate, this meeting was posted publicly on October 6th, and it is open to the public. It remains open to the public. And so although there is no physical quorum here, the commissioner is going to continue to hear the presentation and again, are not going to take any action on this item and are not going to meet in closed session.
All right. Go right ahead. Thank you.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay, so the pedestrian connector is important, and what's important about it is Jaren Ricketts is also the manager that's coordinating this element throughout all the campus master plan. So that's what the project is, but what truly is the desired outcome? Well, we all start, of course, with a strategic plan developed by JPS in 2021. And the strategic imperatives, those 3 strategic imperatives are very important because it's all about excellence, it's all about a new model of the future, and it's all about inclusive, healthy communities. So what does that mean? It's about improving outcomes, it's about creating a proactive system, and it's about reducing health disparity. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to focus on the proactive system. There's a lot of new healthcare delivery models out there, but we're focusing on one. It's called personalized health maintenance versus treatment-based care as we normally have today. Treatment-based care is you get sick, you go to the doctor. Personalized health maintenance is basically where your genetic dispositions are understood. And then it's all about disease prevention and maintenance versus being fixed up after you get ill. So to do that successfully, you have to accomplish 6 practices for personalized health maintenance. It's all about educating the patient. It's all about exposing them to what is healthy food, healthy habits, healthy environments, safe practices, and of course, critical accesses. So we know we have to incorporate all these 6 practices within the design. So how do you do that? How do you convince people to come to a health institution when they're not sick? Well, that means we have to go to community outreach. We have to expose to the community what is best for them, what are the resources available. And to do that, Stacy will explain.
Well, good morning. So my role on the project is about connectivity, connecting the dots with the community through community engagement. Our team understands community engagement is very important. We're going to reach out to the community. We took a look at the 41 municipalities and the 4 precincts with Tarrant County. We've already begun to work in determining what we think is best in terms of an approach to community engagement, all while being good stewards of your taxpayer dollars.
Thanks, Stacey. So the goal of that community outreach and to get input from the community, it's all about creating a healthcare ecosystem because it's not about a singular building. It's multiple components working together to basically ensure the quantitative success of biomedical frameworks but also the qualitative success of holistic care, what patients need. So with that, we gathered all of this, and we started figuring out how do we accommodate this kind of concept or idea on the site. So we went through 4 different options of site assessment, and we graded each one according to certain criteria. One that's facing directly on Main Street with a yard between it and the garage. One that's halfway facing Main Street with a yard in front and a yard facing the garage. One totally with a different form of building like an L. And the one facing Magnolia. Well, as we graded the systems, option 1 came out the number 1 by score. And there's a number of reasons why this came out by score. One, what's really important is it has a way in and a way out. And this is very important because since we have some advanced diagnostics in the building, like surgery, we definitely want a discharge area that tends to be a bit more private so that they don't have to pass the general public. This type of orientation works. Another idea we had was the opportunity to put retail along the building. Because we have specialty clinics within the building, what if we had retail that catered to medical devices for physical therapy, or podiatry devices for the podiatry clinic, or supplemental prices for dietary, so that we can make this almost a one-stop shop for them. Another thing we thought about is, can we carve out an area for food trucks? We talked about how important healthy food was as one of the 6 practices of our new healthcare model. Can we bring healthy food options here so that our clients and our patients can partake in it, but also our staff? In our community plaza, our green space. Remember, we have to attract people to come here even though they're not sick. So can we create a space that creates activity for all the community to participate in outside the realm of healthcare? But as we studied this, we thought a little bit more about this community space. We learned a lot during the pandemic. And one of the biggest things we learned about the pandemic was how do we create space that can handle surge capacity, temporary use facilities. So we feel that we could utilize this open green space as an area for disaster preparedness, recovery, and recovery as well. So that's how we sited the building. So how does a building get its form as well? Well, one of the ways is how we circulate within the building. As this campus gets built out, it's going to be immensely large. So we want to make sure all public orientation looks down on Main Street, whether they're in the hospital, whether they're in the pavilion, or whether they're in the medical office building. So orientation is always the same. Clinics in the middle, and then staff circulation on the outside. Another thing we look at after summer like we had is how does the environment affect the building? Well, this is east facing, so we know that sun is not as great on the east, but it's immense on the west. So how do we adjust to that? Well, this allows us to put more glazing where the sun is less, and it tends to be a bit more thick and heavy where the sun is hitting the most. And then we have to also respond to the street. So as Main Street curves, the building also has to address that curve. So these are some of the forms that leads to the shape of this building, but also the functionality of it as well. Once again, the views to Main Street with all the public areas coming off of a public elevator. And then we have a series of clinical pods, exam rooms on each side and support in the middle. The importance in creating this modularity in pods is that according to census, JPS can open up pod upon pod according to census. Another thing we looked at is during security measures, pods are easy to lock down, either simultaneously or sequentially. So here's the composition of the plan with the new shape of the building, the opportunity to use a roof deck, how we can have our community space, and our proposed garage along Magnolia and Main, and then an up-close look at how we have the entry drop-off, how we can utilize areas for food trucks to expose our clientele to healthy food, how we can have proposed retail adjacent to the garage, and of course our community plaza. We've also added a pavilion here as a backdrop or a stage that we can utilize beyond that realm of healthcare. Steve?
I'll not repeat some of the things that John has already discussed, but it's important to keep in mind the 6 practices of personal health and how this project, this idea, tries to embody all of those. In this case, we're starting with the east facade, and you can see that the glass panels sort of flank back. That's all trying to harvest eastern daylight to get it inside to the public spaces so that people have a healthy interior environment that they're participating in. You can see the lobby is carved out on the back one. You'll see the lobby is carved out below, and then it actually wraps around the building. So as you enter the site, you actually rediscover the lobby all the way through. So that's an example of intuitiveness, so that the building is intuiting how you want to use it or how you want to access or find your way through it, and to get to the items that you're looking for. You can see here, this is the west facade, and you see that it becomes much more solid than the east facade, because we're, again, trying to control daylight and use daylight effectively for the off-stage portion of the circulation, create a healthy environment there as well. It's not only about the health of the people who are coming here, but it's also about the health of the people who work here. You start to get a glimpse of the public, or you start to get a glimpse of how the building goes together. We think a great way to control the economics and time of delivery of the building is to look at prefabrication. Prefabrication offers us the opportunity to build large components of the building facade off-site, truck them in, and erect them at the site. This has advantages of quality control, greater quality control, and less time to construct and dry in the building. You can see a sort of view here, an example of what the public garden or the community space might look like in the center. You can see food trucks being able to access one edge of it, people milling around. This sort of gives you the association between what the building presents on site and then what the other features are. Going back to John's 6 practices of healthcare or personal health, this whole project is sort of an embodiment of those principles. And so it either manifests, that's mine, manifests, manifests or embodies those principles throughout. So you can see here, you can see exercise classes being offered as part of the garden space. There could be presentations on diabetes, heart disease, whatever the topic might be that draws in public participation. Or it might be a musical presentation, an arts presentation to have fun. Again, here's sort of the street view from Magnolia back into the garden. You get certain principles of spaces, safety, intuitiveness.
And just a quick note on the lobby, easy to access and easy to use, which takes stress down and gives social support spaces so that along your care journey, you have resources at your fingertips as long as a gathering of the community around you.
Well, you flipped the slide, so I wasn't sure. But we're focused on improving the patient and family experience. We're creating something that's beyond a coffee bar, a space where you could have a cooking class, where the community could come in and gather and have space for a variety of activities. A concierge that addresses the whole person as a part of the healthcare experience.
And again, staff is just as important in terms of their health. So they're in high-stress environments. They need places to be able to decompress, recover, have breaks away from their stressful environment during the day. This is a quick video which sort of runs you through a three-dimensional presentation of the building itself, this idea of the building, and how it might work. So you can see here we're starting on the eastern facade. As you approach the building here, as the camera descends and approaches the building, if you look to the right, you can actually see all the way through the lobby to the garden space in the back and read everything about that. That's an important aspect of how the building is intuitive and presents itself before you ever engage it, so as you approach it. As you turn the corner here, again, you can see how the lobby sort of displays itself. Here on the right is reception, drop-off. Did that stop?
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Let me get off of it. I was trying to get the audio going, but we'll play it again.
And where the garden space, again, flanks the garage and creates this sort of environment at the back. Again, you see through the lobby, everything is glassy, transparent, so it has a sense of safety about it, lightness, airiness about it, which makes it important. Again, we like, in the 6 principles, we like to have stairs for people to use that are inviting and effective as opposed to taking the elevator. That's part of their health. Here you can see the sort of rooftop garden as a breakout or decompression. You get views back to the city. You can see Bass Tower from there. And then again, looking down on the garden, the multifunctional garden space and the pavilion, and how all of that creates an incredible environment for people to engage in, to come to this building, to this facility. And here you can see different things going on. This is the retail front that could potentially face the garage to sort of make that a much more inviting experience. Fountains, the food trucks to present healthy food choices, or to even demonstrate or teach about healthy food, how to prepare it. And then as we rise up here, you sort of get an overview of the building. And there's the western facade. And then as it comes back around again, you get a view of the entire project and what it all sort of looks like as a complete thing. Here you can see the sky bridge that John was talking about, which is really essentially a spine that goes through the entire campus and connects everything together, and how it arrives here. This is the terminus for that spine. So it's an important building in that regard.
So with that, we want to thank you. Wish we had more time. We have so many robust processes, protocols, tools. In fact, in the back of your handout, we put an appendix so you could see some of them. But once again, we appreciate the opportunity. We built a team catered to this project, catered to the community, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Any questions for them? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Which one of these is the one that presented the last time we did our little bidding thing? That was this one? Okay.
But that was with Paige.
There was like, there wasn't a single person, I didn't see a single person here that came last time.
Yeah, there was John, Jeremy.
Okay, were you here last time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, gotcha.
Haywan.
K1 was here as well.
But they were teamed with Paige, so some of the Paige people were more, I think, up front.
And Paige was.
Thank you all for your time.
Thanks.
Paige was more the prime on that?
Yeah.
So then, okay, so this is 1, 2, 3. It's 4 different groups. One of them doing it twice, right? Got it. The one that we ended up picking last time, what was the name of them?
Beck.
Oh, yeah, okay. So they're not here for any of this. Did they submit anything?
They did. I don't think they submitted on that.
So like the 2 finalists for each one of these, who picked them?
It was, there's about 8 on the selection team, JPS, which comprises of, we're 3 of us, and then there's other folks at JPS that VP level and others from the facilities team that did that selection process.
Okay.
Did he leave?
Yeah, but he's thinking he'll be back after, like for the last one or next to last one.
Nobody could do Tuesday, that's why we picked Thursday. I couldn't do either day, but nobody's here.
Right, nobody, yeah, right.
I'm going to work on getting Zoom connected real quick. Like a frame or something to...
Good to see you. I think we were sitting here last time we had some.
How you been?
Peachin. How about yourself?
Good. I guess since that time, we got our youngest into Texas Tech.
Oh, that's great.
So that's our last 6. So, yeah, just enjoying the weather, starting to cool off.
Well, I went to Tech for undergrad and law school, so
Oh, did you?
very familiar with Lubbock.
Yeah, we have 2 there now. So one's a junior in finance, and then our freshman is into graphic design.
Oh, great.
Really sound like they got a really good program.
I've heard good things. So, I'm a political science law guy there myself, so I got to see it firsthand. But, very robust architecture program. I know the finance program was really good. I had some friends in it. Well, great. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear Tech still attracting some high quality folks there.
We went on a tour of the campus and with our first, and the rec center. I don't even know what it was when you were there. It's amazing rec center.
It was pretty nice, but they were building that lazy river by the time I left, so I never got to enjoy that. But it looked very fancy. Sorry, I never got to see it for myself.
Enjoy that. It has like sunbathing decks. I'm like, they don't want you to leave here. I don't think so. It's a nice resort, but it's a good outlet, you know. For
Maybe I should go back for my red shirt year and see if I can enjoy it there.
right there, you go.
Can Roy still see stuff?
Yes, I can still see it.
Thank you.
I think we're okay. Regina, I think we're okay. Just leave it here then, guess we need, yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Brooks, can you give us another test, please?
Yes, test, test. I am here. Can you hear me? I gather that you cannot hear me because you did not respond. Hello, hello, hello.
You are coming through on our end, sir, just only on the recording.
Okay, fine.
How about you? Get to, is that, I'm not sure, after that, that's the way I would describe it. Yeah, but yes.
From a non-Texas OU fan,
It was quite a game. It was painful to watch. And I'm biased, of course. Just watching it, you could tell we were better. We had better players. I mean, 4 straight downs from the half-yard line. You can't score. I mean, it was just the way he handled the clock at the end of the first half and the end of the second half was horrible. Horrible. We were running up, like at the first half, we were running up to the ball doing hurry up to get a playoff. Well, great. Then they got the ball back with a minute and 20 seconds left to kick field goal. I mean, then they did the same thing in the second one. Yeah, I'm just like, what are you doing? Like everybody in the stands was like, what on earth are you doing? You know?
Is the IT person still? What do you need? We need to get it on full screen mode. It's same presenter mode. I'm not sure if it's on screen mode.
Close it on. All right, let me get back to you.
Okay. All right. Are they ready?
Do you know if the presenter can see it? Can you look?
All right. Are y'all ready? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what my cords. They've got too many connections here. We have too many different views going. The remote, I can't get it into the presentation mode onto the big screen. And now that. I'm doing that.
Yes, ma'am. It's only
But
do we have?
now you're doing that. Okay, but then whenever I go back to share the screen.
I'm sorry. Hear that?
Thank you.
How old was she?
89.
Wow.
Can we tell which one they're seeing? Out.
Awesome.
About to go.
We're doing a funeral arrangement, so I'm not sure.
Like 2 minutes when she hears it is when it stops. Oh, yeah.
Had she been sick for a while, or was it unexpected? I mean, I guess we okay, Todd?
Well, she didn't have just a couple spoonfuls a day since July. And so she just finally.
I'm sorry.
So it was just a decline.
Yeah. What? Sure.
Okay. So this is just our standard MOB. It's a gateway to JPS. It's a community destination. It evokes wellness through planning and design. It provides healthcare and education and access for Tarrant County. We have the opportunity to create a space that not only provides healthcare, but prevention. We've assembled a team together. We've assembled a team today that has diverse experiences in planning and design. And my name is Dan Thomas. I'm the principal in charge of the project. I will be the lead planner on the project.
I'm Tom McCarty.
Principal of Mayor Design. I've been working out of this since 2006. So with that distinction, I've been asked to be the point contact between JPS and this team.
The friends, have the opportunity to work in community and down and then also the clinical and medical education advisor.
Good morning. My name is David Francisco. I work with Fine Foods. I'm an architect and planner, and I'm going to be the lead designer on this project.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Anna.
I'm Carrillo Engineering. I'm a civil engineer
Here in Fort Worth.
and I
And I have had the privilege
to
have started working with the JPS Network on the program from the hospital.
those great connections and relationships with key stakeholders.
Custom partnership. What do we really mean by that?
We look for the most
talented,
the most passionate, the most experienced members to be part of the team. You can see just by the number, 53 in medical building, 34 plus ASC,
And 15 years of working with not just myself, but Dan and other members we're going to talk about this moment have been working on JPS committed to JPS for many years. So let's see this team. You see your Tarrant County, got your 4 precincts here. We were very deliberate about who we went out to make sure part of this. From Precinct 1, we have Parker L.
Engineering on mechanical design.
Precinct 2, several companies, mine, Bear Design, and Yagi Engineering. Yagi Electrical Design, and Architectural Structural Engineering. From Precinct 3, Anna Carrillo, there's no one better,
I believe, in getting projects through the city of Fort Worth. She understands near South Side, she understands development in Fort Worth. Anna is critical to our team here. And rounding out from Precinct 4, one of the largest mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers in the Fort Worth area, Baird Hampton Brown. They worked directly for Tarrant County for many years. I've worked directly with all of these companies. Now, we do have some folks from Dallas County. We have Perkins Will, nation expert in healthcare design, right over here in Dallas. They handle all across the nation. They're global, but they are the experts, healthcare experts. Also from Dallas County, we do have KAI and LEPs. Again, strong team, we're committed, we're passionate. We're going to deliver on time and in budget for you. It so happens this team makeup is what we presented is a minimum of 45% MWBE. So we are on target here, and we'll do what it takes to make sure this is a great project for you.
So hello again. It's good to be with you all. And as this article title says, Americans are among the least healthy people in the rich world and among the most likely to die. And there's lots and lots and lots of reasons for this, but namely our healthcare system just doesn't work. Our healthcare system is really a sick care system. So back in June when we first met and we were talking about the replacement hospital, we sort of introduced this idea of a multidisciplinary team that brings together the experts in healthcare architecture alongside with the experts in healthcare delivery. And the opportunity when we put that together allows us to create a much better space for patients and patient care. We know that we know that the impact that we want to have on this will be extensive. And what we've put together right here is a team that will intentionally partner to go beyond seeing the built environment as walls, windows, and medical equipment. I'm super excited to begin to work on that replacement hospital with Beck. And today I'm here standing in front of you all today looking for the opportunity to continue and make the connections between those works and those projects that we're actually doing on campus. So a recommendation from the 2018 Blue Ribbon Committee report was to better integrate the delivery system of the JPS network. And so we're looking at those recommendations from the Blue Ribbon Committee report. We're looking at Healthy People 2030. We're looking at Public Health 3.0. We are the team that will best partner to look cohesively and collectively at what we need to do for Tarrant County right here in our community. So the American Heart Association recently released an article back in September. And basically they gave their support for looking at food as medicine. And I know we spent some time talking about that last time I was here. So interestingly, an estimated 90% of the $4 trillion annual dollar cost of healthcare in the U.S. is spent on medical care for chronic disease. And for many of these diseases, diet is the major risk factor. So in the context of sick care, which is what we mostly operate out of, food is used as an intervention to treat disease. But in the context of health care, food is used as an intervention to actually prevent disease. And this medical office building can be both. You guys may have followed this. This was another bit of recent news that actually came out back in September. So again, it highlights how a multidisciplinary team can pull things together to look at a better model for delivery in this project. And this headline actually brings great news to our general area, although it landed a bit east of Fort Worth. So the Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health, ARPA-H, is actually coming to Texas. And this is a government-funded research incubator. It's going to focus on these 4 areas, so health science futures, scalable solutions, resilient systems, and then proactive health, which is really the core of where prevention lives. And the goal of all of that is to better our understanding of how we need to deliver care. And I'm telling you that this kind of work actually starts in rooms like this. It starts with people like us making decisions and advocating on behalf of our neighbors, our community, Tarrant County. and bringing these kinds of things to our community. So food is medicine. We had a chance to talk a little bit about that last time. And one of the things, now that the American Heart Association is on board, we always say in medicine that once the cardiologist gets on board, that's when things really start to move forward. And so you can bet that you're going to be hearing a lot more about this in the future. And specifically, when we start this process, we have to start with the community. We have to expand access to and education about food. This must take into account the rich culture of Tarrant County and all of the types of food that build our culture. And the healthcare built environment has to be the standard. So in these kinds of spaces where we execute healthcare, you've got to be able to see this. And it doesn't only start with community, but it starts with the clinicians, it starts with the staff that are actually taking care of patients. So if you may be familiar, the CDC actually says, and we've heard these statistics quite a bit, that moving your body actually improves brain health, it improves your mental health, weight management, which decreases your risk for cardiovascular diseases. That's a #1 killer of people in our nation. Reducing your risk of type 2 diabetes, reducing your risk of serious outcomes when you get sick with things like flu and COVID. So having spaces that look like this within healthcare environments is actually brilliant. Because what is the #1 thing I'm telling my patients? You need to go out, exercise, and move your body. Wouldn't it be great to be able to say something like that and say, just go do that right over here, just right next door. When we think about community, one of the things that Chauncey and I always say, we live right here in Fort Worth, and when we moved here several years ago, one of the reasons that we instantly appreciated being here was because there's no community like Fort Worth. We've never experienced community the way that we've experienced it since living here. And I will tell you that it's really hard. In medicine, oftentimes I wish I had the equivalent of a medication that I could prescribe to give people community, because what it does actually carries and reverberates so much more than what we often kind of go to in medicine. And so having spaces within healthcare environments for programming like this within the MOB can really boost the overall health of our patients and increase patient satisfaction scores. And lastly, I think many of you can probably relate to this. If you've ever had a screaming baby in your arms and you don't know what to do, you've fed them, you've burped them, you've done everything that you know to change their diaper, one of the things I learned as a new mom very quickly was to just go outside. Sometimes just going and standing outside does the trick better than anything else. And the reality of that is that the chemistry, so actually the science of what happens when we go outside, is very uniquely tied to who we are as human beings. So in design, we talk about biophilia, we talk about light, and how important it is to bring that into these spaces. And one of the things that I'm advocating for in this work is that we look at all of the things collectively, not just the medical treatment, not just the walls and everything else that kind of goes into spaces, but we look at everything cohesively to see how we can better care for our patients.
So how are we going to do this? At Perkins and Will, this team, we have developed over time a process that's the intersection between strategy, facility, and operations. Strategy, understanding our patient volume, understanding the future growth. Operations, understanding how we design this facility to be flexible over time and able to staff to be efficient. And then developing a facility that is change ready and that can adapt over time. So I want to share with you some of our experience. Duke Medical Pavilion created a new entrance to this campus. It's almost like the project that we're working on. It created a new circulation, changed the location of the campus, a gateway. Texas Oncology Fort Worth is right down the road. It was designed around a modular system, and it gave access to patients and families, and it was designed for patient focus. South Meadows Specialty Care Clinic was a large facility. It was based on the modular system, on-stage, off-stage, and we're able to create a new campus for their facility. UT Southwestern Redbird Mall renovation. It was an adaptive reuse, South Dallas, underserved, and it created a new community center around the area. Baylor Scott and White Medical Center Clinic. This is movement is medicine. We incorporated a football field within the facility so that the treatment could happen, and it also created a center to where people could come and play and throw the football with your son and daughter. Medical City Arlington Medical Office Building. This really shows how we can design within a budget. This is a modular system. It created a new entrance and a new campus, but we were able to maintain the budget throughout the process. Okay, this is really close to what we're trying to accomplish here. An urban setting, a gateway to the new campus. This revitalized their facility and their community within the Yesler Terrace Medical Office Building in Seattle. So how do we do this? We have developed over time a process, a four-step process: initiate, investigate, design, and implement. But the key takeaway of this is that we create a design charrette. We get everybody, all the key stakeholders. We come together, and that's where the magic begins. We develop a one solution, and then we're able to take that solution in the traditional format of SDDD and construction documents.
You'll see up here we've got 89 weeks and then 22 months to get this project on out. And we know that this is one of the time-sensitive projects in the bond. But it is, again, a role to collect the right JPS people, the right designers, the team together at that 2-day charrette to hit this timeline. And one of the other things that we're looking at on this particular project is 2 packages: core and shell, working with Anna and the designers to get that on through the city process, and then an upfit package on the second side. So that way we can get to market quicker, we can get advantage of the pricing.
So based on our experience, there are some critical elements of designing an MOB and NASC. The major one is the strategic planning, understanding the volume and the patients that are going to be served by this facility. The second is really enhancing the experience, understanding our patients and our families, what they're going through as they come and approach this facility. It's the intersection of healthcare and community, and that's what we're trying to accomplish here. And then we've got to develop a building that is change ready over time. We're able to adapt over time, so we're creating a modular system within the building so that we're changing based on your volumes and not based on your specialty practices. So I'm going to run through these trends really quickly, but basically, as we see a clinical ambulatory care trends, it's all about modular, creating a system that can help make the delivery of care efficient, and also will impact the cost and the constructability of this campus. We'll start to look at on-stage, off-stage. That's a new trend. We're really looking at the patient experience as they enter the exam room, but then also creating a center core area for your staff and your physicians to be able to collaborate during the process of delivering care. Okay, ambulatory care, our surgical center. There's 3 major key elements that we want to look at when we're developing an ASC. One is patient access, making it accessible, creating a universal platform for your ORs, so your ORs are all the same. So it's based on volume and not on cases or type of cases. And then thirdly, making it adaptable and expandable over time.
Excellent. All right. Question now is, how do we bring all this expertise, this wisdom, this knowledge together? The way we like to do this is, when we start a new project, we like to go from macro to micro. So first we like to understand where we are. In this case, the JPS campus and the community around it. So first thing that is evident is, when we look at the campus, when we look at our campus, JPS, we have South Main Street that bisects it, like so. Clearly delineates the east and west side of it. But it also, there's another road, it also plays a major role, which is Magnolia, right to the north. So South Main, Magnolia, and Allen, and the railway, they pretty much delineate the extent of the campus here. What we see when we do this is a place that is ripe for reinvention, ripe for redevelopment. And that's what you're doing. In fact, the parking garage that is now under design will be placed right here, will be built right here in Magnolia. The replacement hospital, represented by this model over here, facing Main Street. Of course, we have the nodes, we call the nodes, the northern gateway right here, Magnolia, and south. If you're coming from the north, that's how you enter the JPS campus. And it's partly here on South Main, and Allen Avenue. So the 2 nodes, the way we see. What is missing here? That very corner, as Dan said, the intersection of healthcare and community. What we propose to do is to have a component, a part of the building that really engages the community, engages the fabric, extends Magnolia, extends South Main, weaves the pavilion, the new hospital, and the MOB together. but the real program happens on top, lifted above that base. That's how we bring everything together from a physical and from a social standpoint. That's the idea behind this MOB. That's what it can do. We have a couple of images here. Imagine that you are floating over South Main, looking south towards the JPS campus. That's what the building could look like. The next image will show what it could look like from the south. Fort Worth, downtown, right on the upper left corner of the screen. Imagine our building here as a sort of an exclamation mark, right on axis with Main Street. Strong, visible, legible, welcoming. But that's not all. What really matters is when we get down to the street level, to the eye level. Imagine this is a view from Main Street looking towards Magnolia, looking south. The pavilion right there at the end of the image. This is what it could look like instead. Our new building taking center stage, welcoming, transparent, inviting, maybe a catalyst for other development along Main Street, along Magnolia. The next image will show another view. Now we are on Magnolia, looking towards South Main, parking lot on the right. What could it be instead? It could be this. Ground level engaging, similar to the lower level of the parking garage, vibrant, welcoming, inviting all to enter the building and experience all that it can.
So let's kind of look together at what the possibilities are as we start to bring in the northern sector of Tarrant County, so Diamond Hill, North Side, Azle. We start to round out around the historic South Side and near South Side to the south part of the JPS campus, where this serves for all of our county. And what an opportunity it is to actually dive into the data that we know, the social determinants that we know are impacting the health of our community. The opportunities that we actually have when we look at this holistically, and of note, this building actually sits right between the garage and the replacement hospital. We're already working with Beck to look at what the best synergies are for us to be able to work together as a team and maximize the impact of this.
And how does it stack up? We tested every floor plate. We tested the program that we are given, surgery floors, clinical floors, administration floors. They all fit in the floor plate that we have to work with. This is a modular approach. This is a scalable approach. It is interchangeable. We can flex as needed, and it works very well from a design standpoint, from a massing standpoint. That's again what the building would look like. But perhaps the most interesting spot, the most interesting moment here is that third level right there. Remember, Danica was telling us about food, community, movement, and nature as medicine. That's where it can happen, on that grand level that sort of hovers over the campus. On the left, you see the new hospital replacement. Down the street, you see the pavilion. On the right, existing campus. Imagine this room, this grand hall, welcoming the community and improving the health of Tarrant County.
So we are the right team for this project because we, in this room, had the experience, the design experience, the planning experience, the operational experience, think differently, and that's what it's going to take. We have over 100 years of diversity of experience on this team. We have a different way of looking at our design process with the intersection of operations, facility, and planning. And we have 45% MWBE participation, a diverse team. And then we look at patient first. But it's not about sick care, it's about preventive care in Tarrant County. And so we want to dream with you. We want to create something big and grand. We want to design something that creates a space that people could come and interact and get well. And then we want to deliver a project, and we're the team that can deliver a large project, a complex project with multi-facets, and we can do that for you, and we want to work with you. So thank you, we appreciate your time.
We have a lot of passion for this. The people that I've gone out to and talked to as part of this team, we have been looking for this opportunity for years. I mean, years. And so we're going to deliver 110, 120, 125. I need to finish with that. All right.
All right, any questions for them?
No.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you. So Austin Commercial, we have not seen before. So, Lou,
Commissioner Brooks.
hey Lou,
Yes, sir.
so you work for JPS?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're a JPS employee.
Yes, Director of Planning, Design, and Construction.
Are you?
I'm with Ron Smithers.
Okay. So all these presentations so far have shown retail. Has anyone at JPS talked about who's going to manage the retail? How that would go?
What part of the retail?
Well, every building we've ever been shown is retail on the ground floor, retail over here.
There's a reason why they're saying
Right.
that, because anything along Magnolia and Main is part of the near South Side Development District.
Mhm.
That's a requirement.
From
So-
the city.
From the city, and from that development, they really want to see, you know, the streetscapes and things like that. So the reason why you're seeing retail is that's going to be part of the design requirements.
So two questions. One, have y'all talked about at JPS who would actually manage the retail?
Yes, we
I'm
have.
sure we don't have anybody at JPS that has the experience being a retail landlord.
We have real estate, a department of real estate, and they do have some experience with that. But one thing that we're really doing is taking that retail requirement and making it into a space that meets that requirement for the city, but also provides a value to our patients and JPS. Like, for instance, for the parking garage, the required retail space, we're currently considering to actually be an urgent care center. So it meets a business occupancy, but also provides a benefit to JPS. So we're hoping to be able to do that, such as like a retail pharmacy would be an opportunity in the MOB. So we're going to need an outpatient pharmacy anyway, so we would look at trying to integrate that retail into a strategic vision for JPS.
So is it a city function that manages the retail, or is it a JPS function?
It will be a JPS function, and so what we're trying to do is satisfy that retail requirement with a JPS department and JPS operation, to where we wouldn't have to go do a lease space, you know, per se for a tenant, but we would actually be able to satisfy that requirement for an operation for JPS.
So the other question I have, when it comes to the city of Fort Worth, they want nice fancy streetscapes and they want retail and all this, that, and the other. What are they kicking in on the project? Absolutely nothing, just here's a bunch of requirements that you have to go spend millions more dollars to meet? Or we want to approve your building? Is that basically what it boils down to?
Well, right now, I mean, we've really had, you know, we found the opportunity to not realize additional costs. Like I said, for the parking garage, making that into a JPS urgent care. Urgent care is a part of the program anyway. We would need to find space for it, and that's a potential space that we could use that for.
So the answer is Fort Worth is kicking in none, but they do have a bunch of requirements that make us spend a lot more money. Is that basically the answer?
I think you're right, in a way that, for example, the parking garage, it doesn't look like a parking garage. The BEC has done a good job of using very cost-effective materials on that, but if you look at that building, it doesn't look like a parking garage, and a lot of that influence came from the UDC department, Uniform Development
Commission,
Committee.
Urban Development
Yeah, as
Commission.
well as near Southside, they have a committee that's reviewing to see what is the aesthetics of that parking garage look like.
So since we put a skin on it and the skin costs more money.
Yes.
However, we are looking at TIF opportunities. So there was an extension to TIF that we'll be proposing. It gives opportunity for, it goes through the TIF, but it is City of Fort Worth funded. So for additional work that is required in their right-of-way, it would help us offset some of those design requirements.
Okay. All right, next up here.
Coming in right
And this is for?
This is for
the
construction.
construction management and risk management.
Construction manager at risk. So in the sense, the way this, typically works is you bring your CMAR on at the same time you bring your architectural engineer on, and they work in tandem to do design and start pricing out pre-construction.
Only related to the main office building?
Correct, medical office building. Come on in, folks.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning.
We're just waiting on Sarah real quick. Oh, okay. We're good? Excuse me one second.
Sure.
Yeah, you are? Excuse me, sir. All right. Are we okay to begin?
We're ready.
Awesome.
Good.
Well, hey, first off, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Douglas Thomas. I'm going to be the project executive for Austin Commercial on the JPS MOB. And I wanted to start off by saying how grateful and thankful for this opportunity we are to add value to not only JPS, but the community at large. I think what you're going to find in our presentation today is a group of seasoned veterans in the construction industry. They're not only experts at what they do, work on healthcare projects, specifically like medical office buildings, but also working on an existing healthcare campus. And that's very important for, not only, just JPS, but the community at large, because we've been there and done that, and we can bring a great breadth of experience there. So that being said, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Sharon Douglas and let her tell a little bit about our partnership.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting us here. We're excited to be a part of this. I'm Sharon Douglas, owner of Pateri Construction, located in Fort Worth. I'm also an Army veteran, and I am so honored to be a part of this team. Now, Austin and Pateri have a long history together, 15 plus years of delivering successful projects and the MWBBE spins. Now you ask the question, why Austin Pateri? I've got the answer. We're the best team for this project to deliver your project successfully and develop MWBBE participation. Now, we look forward to working with you on this, but the main thing is we will be strategically aligned to increase capacity for both Pateri and for the community. We're looking forward to the next generation of builders. We're not just focused on one thing. We want the next generation, because what does that represent? That represents you having future builders for your projects. We're going to implement corporate responses and reporting. We're going to also implement successes for processes. We're going to make sure that we are proactive and not reactive to our training methods. Now, the next thing You want to know about our culture? We believe in working as one team. Look at us here. We are as one team. We believe in involving everyone that is a part of your campus. That's from design, that's construction, that's you, and any others that are on your campus. Our other culture will support the JPS bond program. What else will it do? It aligns us to bid out the subcontractors and have the buyout successfully. What do I look at this for? Because Doug and I have a crucial mission. That is to make sure all behaviors are set up successfully to provide for the project. And then we have Kimberly.
Jacob. Hello.
Jacob, I'm sorry, Jacob.
That's all right. Hello, my name is Jacob Seib. I'm going to be the pre-construction manager for the Austin Papery team. Pre-construction, this is a bit of a construction term, but it encompasses all of the planning and budgeting and cost control that we're going to be doing as we lead into the construction start. In Austin Papery, we believe that most successful projects start off with a strong pre-construction effort. And as the largest builder in North Texas, Austin has a unmatched market knowledge, which we can use with our historical benchmarking and pricing validation tools to help us best validate the initial design parameters of the project against multiple similar type projects to get the project started off on the right path. Our cost escalation and lead time forecasting tools give us a pulse of the market so that we can best time some of the package releases to ensure the schedule viability and cost efficiency of the project. This is an example of our TrueMark historical benchmarking tool. This tool allows us to mine our deep database of project experience and find similar projects to help us validate initial budgets. We'll move on to our cost escalation and lead time forecasting tool, TrueView. What this does is we use tracking of the raw material inputs to construction materials to try and give us some visibility when we're going to see cost escalations, as well as to see supply and demand of those materials so that we can kind of forecast any potential lead time issues. Talk a little bit about target value delivery. Again, this is kind of a pre-construction nerd term to myself, but what target value delivery is it's where we help to steer design to our budget. We want to do continual collaboration and constructability and cost inputs. An example might be that we want to control our exterior costs, so we need to manage the amount of curtain wall we have in relation to masonry so that we can keep that target in the range that we need it to be in. All of the tools that I've shown you previously help us to validate our initial budget targets to establish the baseline for our target value delivery methods. And then from there, our target value delivery method will require us to early and often communicate with the design team. We'll be in all of the design meetings. We'll be vocal about helping to make sure that we're keeping within parameters on our cost side. We'll also be able to evaluate, structural steel frame versus a concrete frame to see what's better for the schedule and for cost. We'll look at prefabrication off-site of our exterior skin to see if we can recognize the cost efficiencies and schedule efficiencies that come along with that. Now, this process will require our team, Austin and Papery, working together to provide a continuous budget update. We're going to be tracking all the design decisions that get made in these design meetings so that we can see and evaluate and show transparency across the cost estimate of how these decisions were made and why they were made to track to the overall budget. The target value design process allows us to design to cost and not cost to design. And what that does is it helps eliminate budget surprises and also allows for well-informed decision-making throughout the process. This is an example of our design decision tracker. As we're sitting in design meetings and working with the design team with JPS, we will be tracking various different options through the project to decide what is the most effective solution within our budget. Now, to get into MWDBE. Pre-construction is also the foundation of a strong MWDBE inclusion program. The Austin Plateri team will work together to involve the Tarrant County community and the diverse businesses in Tarrant County to get involved early, to work in the early budgeting phases of the project so that we can right-size scopes and packages to work and maximize the inclusion on the project. The Austin Plateri team is not interested in rolling up the same old subcontractors that we use everywhere else under an MWBB umbrella just to meet a compliance target. Our inclusion program is a commitment to the Tarrant County diverse businesses to grow the next major subcontractor players in the market. This is a tried and true method that has made Austin and Plateri as well some of the largest diverse business procurers in the North Texas area.
Thanks, Jacob. So Austin Plateri's approach to inclusion is one of commitment and not compliance. We're not checking the box. We never have. My name is Simeon Terry. I'm Vice President of Diversity Affairs. And our commitment to you is, number one, Austin Commercial as a fully dedicated 100% department that is dedicated to diversity and inclusion across the country. We're not bringing in third parties. We're coming in with an implementation and a plan that's going to be successful that we've always had. This chart here that you see is one of very detailed of the steps and things that we take to maximize inclusion, not just reach a goal. Matter of fact, we don't even utilize the word goal in our company. We talk about maximization because that means we're not stopping once we do hit there. For us, the goal is the floor and not the ceiling. There are various detailed areas along the processes here. We have very key milestone components. We're going to team with JPS, the supply diversity team, to formulate one unified team so that you know at all times where we are, how things are going, where we're projected, and where we are at any given point. This process allowed us to be integrated with pre-construction because we work with them on packaging, as well as with scheduling and making sure that those packages are delivered in a timely manner. Next, please. Our further commitment to you. We put together a community inclusion advisory team. Key things, everybody on this team are decision makers. Number one, all of our diverse businesses, our minority, women-owned, veteran businesses have a centralized, located resource to go to for any issues or anything along those lines. We will handle any type of conflict resolution. We'll also make sure that we're integrated within the community and making sure that the community is abreast of all the things that are going on, opportunities and so forth on a project at all times. Any one of these individuals who are all leaders on the project team can be approached, and we handle things in a collaborative manner. Next. So what does that mean when we talk about maximization? Well, Ms. Sharon just talked to you earlier about our relationship. So firms like hers, in addition, when we maximize, we have businesses from the community, guess what? They can hire other people from the community. And what does that do? That creates jobs, right? And so what does that do? Well, those people go back to the community and spend those dollars with other small businesses in the community, which creates other opportunities. So we look at this, again, as I said, one of commitment and not compliance. It's bigger than just getting some percentages. This has community impact all along the lines. And we realize the homeless situation and things, what's important to you is important to us. We've got a plan and a strategy to also make sure that they don't feel displaced and they feel at home and welcome along the lines of while this process is going on. These are the things that we think about bringing together a plan and not just a check the box exercise again. And again, we're going to be very transparent. These are the last several years of our spends with our minority, women-owned, veteran-owned businesses in the local community and area. And one of the things I want to bring to you is this. On the far to my left, you'll see those percentages. Now, the dollars fluctuate a little bit, but guess what? Even when those years go down, you're seeing the utilization of our spends continually increase. Again, that is because we are committed to our minority, women-owned, and small and diverse businesses. We're committed. We're committed. We're committed. Now I'll take it over to Sharon.
Now I'm back up here to talk about culture. Our practicing culture is to work together, number one. Let me tell you a short story. I got called many months ago concerning this project by Austin to ask if I would be a participant and partner with them. When we finished that conversation, there were two things left on the table: joint venture or teaming agreement. A couple days later, I said, I choose teaming agreement. Why? Because that brings about flexibility for my company and doing your projects. Now, going back to our culture, we want to involve everyone that's associated with the campus. We want to make sure that you're involved from the standpoint that you're touching us and we're touching you. We want to make sure that the design teams are involved, the construction teams are involved. So, as you know, we're connected with Beck also. So that is a connection to be pulled in. We're not going to stop here. The other thing that we practice is to make sure that we look at it from the standpoint of subcontractors. Just not subcontractors. As I spoke earlier, it's going to be the next generation of contractors, general contractors. It might be me, I hope. So we'll see on that situation. The other thing I like to point out is that again, is crucial for Doug and I to work together to make sure that we are tapping into the behaviors of all subcontractors that we're reaching out to. And that includes the new stream coming on. Thank you, Kimberly.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Brown. I'll be the scheduler for the project. Again, like you talked about, one team for us is not Austin Terry, it's across your bond program, right? One of the things that we would recommend is bi-weekly meetings with all your trade partners. We're suited well for this because we have existing relationships with every team on here, whether you've already selected them or they're a potential selection for you. We have those relationships. We want to meet bi-weekly, core groups, all be in a room together where we're making sure that we're all pulling in the same direction, right? Whether that's design, picking medical equipment, closures, whatever it is, we're all pulling in the same direction to make sure that there are no surprises as we go. Those meetings will inform our master program schedule, right? That's what I'm in charge of, taking all that information and making sure that it is speaking with our schedule, whether that's design, right? If it's road closures that impact your patient egress or traffic patterns or neighboring businesses, right? We want to, again, make sure there's no surprises, it's fluid communication, and everybody's on the same page. One of the things that we would recommend that would help with that is what we're calling our kind of integrated scheduling database. So what we would do is have a common database against your bond program where everybody's schedules lived in the same environment, to where as schedulers across projects, we can meet together. We're intimately familiar, right, with how our projects impact one another, and that will allow us just, again, fluid communication, no surprises, and allow us to identify key decision points that help everybody's projects go well. I'm going to pass it over to Kevin to talk.
Yeah, good morning. I'm Kevin Pensick. I'll be the senior project manager on the project. And, starting the pursuit, we kind of, walked the site and understand the surroundings, and we kind of came up with some project sensitivities. And that's kind of what you see here on the screen. So we understand we're not building just a medical office building. There are, several projects within the whole bond program that all affect each other. We're all these projects are dependent on one another. We're dependent on the central utility plant, getting its utilities over to the MOB. So there's a lot of moving parts and pieces that these projects depend on each other. Like I said, we want to partner. We don't want to cause a problem. We want to be the solution. We want to partner with the near south side, understand the requirements and what their objectives are for their portions of the neighborhood. Monarch Creek Cancer Institute, Tarrant County Public Health, the Science Center, UNT, those are all active facilities that we're going to have to work around. We're going to have to be part of the solution to be able to make sure that those places aren't impacted and the public can still access and have access to those places. So we're looking to be part of the team to come up with these solutions and offer our expertise in how we've handled other campuses before. We have that experience, and really excited about proving that here. I'm going to turn it over to Carlos to talk about some of our coordination issues.
Carlos House with Boteri Construction. I'll be the project director for this project. And our team, Boteri and Austin, We're going to work as one in communicating with the build teams who are, some of them are mentioned here, the central energy plant, the Sky Connector, and the prefabrication and modular of the facade on the outside of the building. And we're very excited about the Sky Bridge, so I want to pass this on over to our senior superintendent.
Thank you, Carlos. I think Brian Northcutt, the senior superintendent, scheduled to be on the project. A couple big things happened. We've heard one team a lot here. Being in the industry almost 30 years, I can tell you that that is the best approach for this project, a project of this magnitude. Couple different ways, like on the Sky Bridge, as Carlos said, we're touching two buildings. That's kind of the lifeline of the hospital, the campus itself. Between the CEP going through the replacement hospital to the MOB. One of the ideas to minimize the impact on the community as well as the facility as a whole would be to prefabricate modular units off-site in a controlled environment where we own it. We bring these modular units in once they're completed as more or less whole units. We have our electrical, mechanical, and just basically all the MEP attached to these units, put them together. It does a couple things. It's safer for the project, better for the team, enhances the flexibility in the schedule, and we're not impacting, like, again, the local community, which is one of the big things we're looking for. With that said, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I really do. Doug, can you finish us off, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Northcutt. Hey, I hope, from what I witnessed today, I know several things ring true to me, right? It's Austin and Poteri's approach to being part of one singular team with JPS and all your stakeholders and team members on this campus as we go and deliver a community impactful project for JPS, right? As the commitment that we have, the involvement that we've gotten with Poteri early on in this project, from just kind of working through the details, how we're going to do our approach to this project, and how we're going to deliver a meaningful impact to JPS and the community at large. So we're super excited. We're all North Texas residents. Healthcare is the most impactful part of construction that you can do, right? Because you're paying for it to the community, and it's going to have an impact on the community, and that's why these professionals right here have dedicated their entire career on working on healthcare projects. I mean, I've been doing it for 20 plus years, and I love it. I love getting involved with it. These guys are going to just knock it out of the park for you. I know it 100%, and super excited about the opportunity. Now, I'd like to open up to any questions y'all might have about our presentation and our approach.
Anybody have any questions? I have one, and I may have misunderstood. There was a mention about homelessness, and correct me if I'm wrong, did you say y'all wanted to make the homeless feel welcome? Did I understand that right?
Well, I may have said, misspoke on that perspective, is making sure that if there's any kind of displacement and things, we've done other projects where there's been homeless people around and involved in the areas. And so again, our program allows us not to just discard them, but we work with other community organizations to make sure that they're not left out and they don't feel just disbanded while new construction's going on.
Okay.
So that was the intent
of
my conversation.
All right. Anybody have anything else? Okay, thank y'all very much.
Thank y'all very much. Really appreciate it.
The central energy plant, how close is that to this proposed site for the building? Yeah.
300 yards, 400 yards.
They're all pretty good, staying on time. Some of them had about 10 minutes cut off.
And I guess everybody has to speak, because he'll get up there and say 2 sentences.
Right, right.
Like he drove all the way.
Hi, I'm so-and-so. I'll be doing this. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, at this point, if we're really gonna be stuck with having to do like true retail, if anything more than a coffee shop, or if anything, I mean, we're able to.
Maybe gift shops.
We're able to use, our function, and program our function as a retail component up to this point. So, I mean, we don't wanna put a bunch of retail, space to manage or build out, that we don't have to.
We've also worked to apply variances with the city where we can, so it's not like we're just taking what the city's telling us to do
No.
and we gotta go do it.
No.
We're pushing for those variances. In fact, with near south side, sky bridges are technically not allowed.
Mhm.
Now, if you look at all the hospital campuses that are part of that, it can be done, but those are things that, if you look at the code, we're not just kind of sitting back and saying, okay, we'll do whatever you tell us, but we're gonna push back, and we have pushed back.
And they partnered with us, a lot. We've gotten a lot of variances, and, I mean, we want every dollar to go to the function of the Tarrant County Hospital District's program.
Good, how are you?
Just about ready to be done? Almost lunchtime, right?
Mark, how long have you been with the county?
Since 2015. And I was at Harris County before I came up here.
Oh, really? Yeah, been doing government work for quite a while.
All right, we're not gonna wait for Manny.
That's Houston?
Yeah, maybe I get back.
A little further up there.
What brought you to Fort Worth?
I'm from here.
Are you?
Yeah, so just started
So
out
any
there.
luck getting,
Or down there, I should say.
Yeah, that's the last one.
When an opportunity came to come up to Triplex. Grabbed it.
Yeah, nice.
That's all right.
You got family
I'm
here?
sure he did text.
Yeah. My wife obviously is here with me, the kids, and then my brother and parents are here as well. Yeah.
How many kids do you have?
Two.
Two?
Yeah, 1 and 4.
Ooh.
So we're trying to start saving for college, so be hopefully in the same position that you're in now, paying for public university would be nice.
Right. Texas has a great program, don't they? For, I guess, as long as you're going to an in-state.
Yeah, the Texas Tomorrow Zone.
I think that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's just a matter of making sure you continually contribute to it. Keep going every month here. That is the trick.
Yeah, we did that. We took our kids. We were like, okay, we're just going to contribute to a family account. They can all share, on that. And so we kind of budgeted, their food, their education, and then just kind of back that out.
Sure.
And so it was kind of inflated a little bit more than we plugged into it, but at least it's a big start. So we've got 3 graduated from college now, and so 2 in, 1 undecided, and so but everybody's doing well. Fort Worth is a great place.
Yeah.
Tarrant County.
I like it a lot. We actually live in Arlington over in Precinct 2, Board of Commissioners, and that, right across the border. Yeah, we like it a lot. My wife is an Arlingtonian by birth, so she taught me coming back there.
Oh, yeah, okay. And what does she do?
She's an attorney over at Tarrant HMR. She's one of their assistant general counsel, family attorneys.
Both community support?
Yeah, that's right.
So that's great. it's, you know, I'm an engineer by trade, and there's just not too many opportunities, you know, that we have to really provide a skill in order to give back to the community. So I really consider myself blessed here at JPS and with the Tarrant County Hospital District, because you're not just building for developers, you know, and them crunching you to get their tenants in. You know, I've been in that before, working at JPS, and so my favorite is to open a new clinic and open up the doors and let the folks in, because we really provide great facilities, great people, and they don't get that treatment. You know,
It's the gem of Fort Worth.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Drive by JPS most days when I take my kids.
So
back to
there's
see
nothing,
the work, signs that y'all have
there's
up
nothing
where
after
yes.
this presentation. I mean, it's just we're done.
Okay, so
Kind of looked like my wife.
back
a little
to
bit if you
his
squint.
earlier question.
My oldest daughter at the time
When
was
it's
2.
on the communique, is it
That's a picture of mom right there every day. So
Okay.
she was love and drive.
You ready?
You ready? Well, again, my name is Chris Peck, and I run the North Texas region for JDUN, and we are thrilled to be back here again. I first want to state, thank you for the opportunity this morning. We would be honored to be your cup builder. But we think we also have a value proposition to present to you here to not only serve as a cup builder, but also the builder of the medical office building for a variety of reasons. And we're going to go through that in our 20-minute interview. Just to reinforce, JDUN is a premier healthcare builder, and we have a ton, like we did this morning with the cup, we have a ton of directly relevant medical office, ambulatory care type facilities to draw upon, including our team members' direct experience. I'm going to talk briefly about partnership. We're going to hear from Mike Smith of Conrail in just a second, but we're doing something similar. It's not a healthcare job, but we're doing a big body of work here in Tarrant County over in Arlington at the Lowe's Hotel Convention Center parking garage. We set that job, it's $375 million worth of work. We set that job up, similar to what we're offering to you today to do the CUP and the MOB. We have a senior project manager, in this case it's Chuck Sloma, and a general superintendent with Joe Hawley. And that's how we have a proven ability of working on multiple projects that are, if you will, linked together, tied together, which we think these are. So what we're offering to you is not something that's foreign to us or unique. We do it all the time. In fact, Joe and Chuck have done it multiple times. I'm really excited about the partnership with Conrail. We are working with them at Lowe's. And so you, of course, know Conrail. They've worked on this campus. And so we have a proven partnership. It's working extremely well here at Lowe's. And so, Michael, why don't you talk a little bit about Conrail?
Thank you, Chris. As he stated before, guys, we're working together on the Lowe's Arlington. It's a much bigger project than this, but I want to talk to you a little bit about Conrail's experience with JPS and in Tarrant County. Back, 20 years ago, we retrofitted the 2 floors in the main hospital for HIV treatment, and we built the building that's the current pavilion on campus now. Outside a little bit more, we built 4 clinics in underserved communities, and we've got experience. We built Commissioner Brooks' courthouse in the Southwest District. So again, we've got experience here, and we've got a proven partnership. And now I'd like to turn it over to Mark McElroy.
Let me close that one real thing. The great thing about the timing of that job, again, we've got our leadership that has directly relevant expertise, but also have 35 people that are working here in Tarrant County that can also, will be members of those teams that will support this project as well. So we have the depth of resources to support not only the central utility plant, but the MOB. I'm going to turn it over to our project team leader, Mark McElroy.
Thanks, Chris. And again, thanks for having us back. We're back again, so let's take a look at this. Chris brought up a unique, one thing we want to emphasize in this station here. Joe and Chuck are senior level folks for us. Complexity of the CUP requires that they're on site, but this job allows us to capitalize on their being on site and use them on this project. This team is then supported with another team. You'll meet John here in a minute. Anna could not be here today. She's out of the country. So Chuck will be taking care of some of the role that Anna will be just in the presentation, but day to day, Anna is going to be your folks in this job. This team, what we really like about this team, Michael talked about our recent experience right now at Lowe's, but this team has built in the last few years here in the North Texas region, 4 or 5 different MOB type buildings, right? As you can see up here, Anna, myself, and David, who's not here today, but he's one of our interior superintendents on this, just finished the job at UT Southwest. John and his team, along with Anna, just finished stuff at McKinney and over in Frisco at this point. So this team brings us recent relevant experience to apply to this project in here. Going into a case study now, I'm going to have Chuck and Joe talk about what they did at Parkman.
Yeah. Again, Chuck Sloan, Senior Project Manager, and involved in the Parkman project. We keep mentioning this job. This job is so similar to what you're doing. This is a county building a facility for themselves as a tenant, which is exactly what you're going to accomplish here. Tied into a central plant that we built. It's exactly what we're doing here. This has very, very similar services to what you're doing. 250,000 square feet, basically same size project. This job is very, very similar, and the team that we're bringing is the same team that made this successful across town. And not only was the project successful in the meeting the budget, moving them in on time, but we also met the MWBVE requirement. In fact, we exceeded it on the actual clinic, 48% versus 30, 18% over our goal. Andrea, when we were down there, we were turning reports into her. We love her, she loved us. She came to work for us, and now she's going to help us be successful on your project. Not only do the numbers, the industry recognized us as well. We actually won an award for our efforts on that project in the construction and the design team working with them. Thank you.
Good morning again. My name is Danny DeFeo, Pre-Construction Director for the Dallas office for J. Dunn. Earlier we talked about challenges. I'm not really going to dive into them. We're going to deal with the similar challenges on this job with trade partner capacity and everything. What I really want to dive into specific to this project is all of the cost data and all the good cost history information that we have. What you're looking at here is a graph of over 40 different medical projects that we've completed over the last 2 years. And nobody else in this competition can show you anything close to this and can show you what we've been able to do. Now this area right here, this magenta area, is actually where we're going to go into. So that's a 30,000 foot level. Moving down to the 20,000 foot level, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to work with the design team to break it down into buckets. And why is this important? It's easier to manage smaller numbers than it is the overall number. So what I mean by buckets is we'll manage just the structure in one number. We might manage a skin in a single number. And then what that does is it gets the right people, right place, right time. So that way we're not dealing with landscape architects when we're having a skin meeting. Now, once we go down a little bit further into the detail in the 10,000 budget, we'll use our estimating platform, which is called AIM. It is a J. Dunn proprietary software that is extremely intuitive and something that we'll be able to use very early on with all of that cost data and all that cost history information to start our initial target budget. Why is this important? Is because we're able to fill in that blank very early, fill in all those voids and all of those assumptions, and provide all of this detail back to the design team to make sure that we're seeing everything. Extremely transparent, so that way we're not hiding anything. You see all the details, all the costs, the material costs, the labor costs, and everything's out there right away. Once we start getting the model from the design team, a lot of those assumptions that we had to do off of the narrative, we'll start filling in with actual quantities. So we'll go into the model and we'll assign different parts of the model. So for instance, here you're looking at masonry, and where we might have said that we had 20% masonry on the job, we're going in and we're saying, now we have 23,000 square foot of masonry. And so it's able to really clean that up just a little bit. What we do is we actually tie it back to the estimate. So everything that you're seeing here is actually available to the hands of the program manager. So that way you can go in and see where the estimate is at any time. You know, you wake up 2 o'clock in the morning, you're like, man, did they pick up this change that we talked about today? You can go see, and you can see where it's tied in and get a visual representation of how that's being done. Why this is really important is it gives us the opportunity to really streamline the overall process. We're doing weekly updates to the estimate. We're working with the design team on a daily basis. They call us, they say, hey, let's look at this. So instead of the design team going through and having to redesign and do VE, we're working with them on a, like I said, a weekly basis to make sure that it's continuous estimating.
So what does that mean? So Danny, we talked about earlier that distilling of all that data that we have down into useful quantities. What allows us to do really is what we're seeing up here is a list of medical office buildings that were recently completed that we're showing on here. Key component here is for us to give you an initial estimate. That initial estimate is often done very early in the process, pre-SD or at SD level, all right? So for those not into that means a very early design iteration, before any of the details are fully worked out, when we're really dealing with floor plates and just the nice ratios of materials on it, ratios of skid material. We take that estimate, and then at our final bio to GMP, we're looking at something that generally falls below 2%, all right? Sounds great, but the reason that's great for us is when we look at a complex building like this, and this is going to have some OR systems in it and some other imaging and a full service MOB. It's really more like an ambulatory care facility when it's done. It allows us to start getting into the coordination of that, which assures us that we can get the project online quicker and you can start generating that revenue that's so important in a building like this. So you can't downplay this. Is our ability to come out early, give you a number that we can live with, allows us all to start making better decisions throughout the process in here and not dealing with a lot of last minute decisions. John's going to run us through how we're going to make those decisions come real in the field.
Thank you, Mark. My name is John Morton. Been with J.D. Dunn 20 years. I'll be the field superintendent on this project. Some of the things that we recognize in this market is that we have challenges. We have supply chain, lead time challenges. We have labor constraints. We even have the mega projects going on in this area that affect those challenges. But we like to have solutions when we're dealing with these challenges. Some of the things that we like to work on is early procurement, getting the owners buy-in, getting the design team buy-in, with our project management, working with Anna, working with Chuck. We're able to procure those materials early that can lead to another solution. Prefabrication. Some of the prefabrication components can be done off-site. We've had many of those challenges. It helps with these solutions as well. So prefabrication, one of the very first things that we find is safety. We find that we have a controlled environment. We find that we're able to meet speed to market values. We're able to control schedule. We're able to work, say, on rainy days inside somewhere off-site. Taking the normal conventional building practices and putting those off-site, utilizing manpower away from the site and lowering our exposure, reducing waste. So prefabrication is one of those solutions here. This is a case study that we did. I was the superintendent on this project, as well as we did this same case study in McKinney and in Frisco, where we were challenged for 60% of the entire body of work to be prefabricated off-site. We could prefabricate some on-site as well, but we were challenged with the ergonomics of the space, so we did most of it off-site. What you'll see here is you've got some metrics, some of the things that we can do. In the pictures, right here in the top right corner is a finished product of the Medical City Plano, and then you can see some of the electrical components in the pictures that we did. But what's really interesting is this picture right here. If you can see, there's 3-in-1. We're able to build the walls off-site, put the glass and the window frames in place, and ship those directly to the site, therefore allowing us to close the structure in faster and dry in and control our environment. Another cool thing that we did that was challenged, we was able to do all the underground infrastructure. Electrical switch gears, those ones have a lot of pipes and underground work. We were able to take what would take 6 weeks to put into place in the field, we were able to put it in place in 3 days in the field. But we procured those materials early on in the process, we was able to build away off-site. What you see here is our mechanical, electrical, plumbing racks that we developed. We took all the infrastructure inside, we figured out a way to go ahead and put all these components together so we could utilize and put them into place relatively quickly and smoothly as well. And you can see how many men we have raising the mechanical, electrical, plumbing racks in place. And also note at the same time, we're putting drywall on this. So anything we can do to speed to market value, prefabrication is one of those solutions that we have. With that, we were able to give back and document $8.7 million to that project. We had 3 months given back on the schedule, and we reduced our hours on site, 94,000 man hours was off site. RFIs, working with the design team, building models, just the communication was on point. We used the speed to market value. We utilized it again in McKinney and in Frisco, the same client. Some of the projects, some of the other things that we do, not only just for prefabrication and managing the site, we also self-perform work. We low voltage, we're able to take complicated security packages. We have our own low voltage in-house guys, and we can customize those security packages as well. We can control the market also with concrete. When a lot of these mega projects are sucking up a lot of the concrete in the area, we can self-perform that work with our own manpower as well. Steel erection, door frames and doors, we also self-perform. Those help with those solutions and challenges. So one thing we recognize on site, again, we have some safety challenges, which will be my responsibility for J.E. Dunn. I will be doing the day-to-day operations, making sure that patients are safe, the employees are safe for JPS, even the neighboring properties and working with the other contractors. That'll be left up to me to be responsible for that, as well as building the project and the day-to-day communications. We understand that there's utilities. There's existing utilities there. There's overhead and underhead and underground. We need to maintain those and protect those, and we need to work with figuring out how to work around that in those complicated systems. And then the logistics of the site. The site is a tight site. So how do we work with a tight site? So one thing that we notice here is that we have in red our construction site. We have a demarcation line of where the building is going to go, but also the proposed central energy plant. We also note the future projects that you guys are looking at doing. And we recognize that there's some existing property. This is where we would like to stage our material, maybe prefabricate, and parking for our employees away from the site, so we concentrate on JPS, families, patients, always getting there to the hospital. We've superimposed what we think the building is going to look like with our fence and our laydown yard and our awesome tower crane that we own. With that being said, I'll turn this over to Joe.
Good morning. Again, my name's Joe Hawley. I was in here a little bit earlier, but the reason I am here is because I support John. John is your day-to-day guy on the MOB, and as Mark and Chris both alluded to, I'm the general over the campus and really taking it from the cup over to here. So really supporting him, but really my job is to start looking early right now at what impacts the campus. Being the general superintendent, I want to be the owner of the campus utility package from one end to the other. I don't want 3 or 4 different people touching that gas line that gets back to the proposed cup that we'd love to build for you. I want to know what's there. One of the big things that Chuck and I met with Atmos back in February 22 is this gas line. We could approach this site that turns over first. This is the first site I believe turns over to start building. Understanding how that gas line is, and if we start just rerouting this just to start, that impacts financially and schedule to that cup. As I alluded to earlier, all of that gas system here, we don't have gas back to the cup. So my job is to get in here with Atmos and Encore and develop a strategy and a plan for your campus to put it in one time. It would cost thousands and thousands of dollars to reroute this gas line out of the garage only to do it again. That's my job, is to figure out long-term plans for that piece of it. So again, the tower crane here, the one thing here is, as John alluded to, we all know, this is a tight site. So the early collaboration with the garage builder, Beck, and being a part of that and our experience with Chuck and I and Mark, the team, that is our job. We want to be neighborly. We want to be the most efficient for us, for Beck, and for ultimately for you guys. So again, me being the campus guy, there's a lot of things to talk about here, but let's talk about the schedule. Both of these buildings, MOB and that part, and the cup, come online effectively at the same time. So we have to figure out as a collective team, how do we get parts A to part B to make John's job when he's ready for power and temp and heat and get his building up and running. There's a problem there. We know that we have connectivity from the cup to provide resources from here, and that's what these perforated lines are. This is our redundant services coming from the cup to get to this MOB, to get it online to activate so you guys can start making money. This hospital will barely be under construction, so we know we can't take all of that infrastructure through this surface lot. We have to come in and start developing a strategy to get whatever utilities we need here back over to that MOB. That's my job again, and I'll be working with Chuck and Mark and everybody and you guys as well to start making them plans over there. So that is imperative there. Why is all that important? I've already did it once. This is down at the job that we keep referencing. This is my job. I built this, I built that. And the reason that we were down there, quite honestly, is Parkwood saw the absolute advantage of having this builder build this and all of the intricacies that go between here and here. These both buildings, Cup, this is our medical office building, and this was some interior renovations, or interior build-out. But it's so imperative to understand the campus of getting these buildings online in conjunction with working with a massive builder of this brand new hospital. So getting this here, plus, and Derek, as you well know, I'm coming off the same thing in Norman, Oklahoma. I'm just wrapping up a $260 million campus tie-on to an existing hospital, plus a new ACC, new parking garage, some cup renovations, and a new bed tower. So I know how to do this. Our team knows how to do it, and that's what I want to leave you with on this one. Mark?
Thanks, Joe. So to follow up what Joe said here, again, we talked a little bit about this morning in the cockpit. These utilities, we look at these buildings as being complementary. And what makes them complementary is really the schedule, right? Is that for the reason we look at, for this building to be built alone and to operate correctly, you need to have that tie into the cup that makes it. And there's still, as Joe pointed out, a lot of coordination around that. Why that's important for you is if you have one contractor doing both of those buildings, it's a lot easier and a lot more streamlined in communication, right? You're not splitting it up into 3 places and stuff get lost, and then inefficiencies lead to financial outcomes of the poor, right? This team has worked together on a lot of these similar type of projects. We worked with John and Joe, myself, and Chuck. We've all worked together on these projects recently. We bring that experience and you can benefit from that. I think our ability, as we've talked about in here, the budget ability that Danny brought up earlier, is this is again key to us being here. It's that early, really alignment of the budget and your needs, and then be able to capitalize on all of the additional things that you would need in the building, rather than dealing with something from behind the whole time and everything being a surprise, right? You want to have that in the beginning, be able to identify your budget, to be able to identify the scope, and then move forward to deliver, really for the residents of the county, a first-class, world-class hospital. Right? And this is the first point in doing this, right? If you get these 2 buildings right, you start creating momentum for the entire project. And this is very important to start off with this right decision here. We'd love to do this. We think we're uniquely qualified to do it, and we open it up to your questions. So thank you again for your time.
Any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
So with that, yeah, the meeting is now adjourned.